All right, so listen, the next one is about Breonna Taylor. Her killer receives no charges for her death. Surprise. Did they keep their freaking job, or did they at least fire them?
So the Kentucky grand jury indicted an officer, one officer only, but not for the death of Breonna Taylor. They brought no charges against the Louisville police for her killing. This was during a drug raid supposedly gone wrong. This is with prosecutors saying today that 2 officers who fired their weapons at the black woman were justified in using force to protect themselves, even though she was sleeping in her house. Okay. The grand jury instead charged fired officer Brett Hankinson with 3 counts of wanton endangerment for firing into Taylor's neighbors' homes during their raid on the night of March 13th. The FBI is still investigating potential violations of federal law in the case. And Breonna Taylor was a black emergency medical technician who was shot multiple times by the officers who entered her home during a narcotics investigation on March 13th. The warrant used to search her name had been approved as a no-knock warrant, but at a news conference, State Attorney General Daniel Cameron said Hankinson and the 2 other officers who entered her apartment and announced themselves before entering the apartment, and that one civilian witness corroborated that evidence. So because they announced themselves, I guess that's fine. So this is what the police do.
What do they knock real quick and then they go in right away.
Haven't we experienced
like, it's
that?
Not like it's
Remember, they literally knocked on the window and then literally 3 seconds later blasted all the windows. This is what they do. Why are people protesting? People ask, why are these people protesting? This is why they're protesting, because they're not getting any justice. They're not getting any justice at all. And it doesn't matter if the governor, if whoever is of whatever color they are, whatever gender they are. These people are not, across the board, Republicans and Democrats are not protecting people from law enforcement. They're not doing any changes. What policy has Joe Biden introduced to protect people from the police? Nothing. This is what I go back to. What has Kamala Harris done to protect people? The sheriffs don't even have cameras. They're supposed to get them in October, for crying out loud. In what? The LA sheriffs don't have cameras yet.
Yeah. I mean, and no politicians coming forward talking about any real systemic change here. They're just staying in the bushes. They're not coming out of their houses, and they're hiding. But fam, there is some good news.
So I just want to say, we're going to be going to cover a protest in a minute, because protests are going to be happening all over, and they were already happening in Louisville. I don't know if you can pull up any video from people marching, because there's already a lot of people marching, and there was an emergency order issued before declared, because people knew that they weren't going to give a good a verdict. So again, this is why people protest. If you see no justice, right, you ain't getting no peace. I mean, it's just very simple. If you want people to stop protesting, and if you don't want people to get mad and riot, well, let's bring some justice here. Let's get this shit taken care of. Let's put these charges on these people. If I burst into somebody's house and shoot them, even if I'm a cop, I should pay for the consequences. I shouldn't get a slap on the wrist, which is what happened.
Well, I mean, this is a good subject that Hillary Clinton can talk about on her new podcast, fam. Did you know Hillary Clinton's got a new podcast coming out?
Nobody wants to hear that woman in a podcast. She gets no ticket sales, and still she wants to go and start a podcast. And now every politician, Pete Buttigieg started a podcast. Didn't Obama start a Netflix series or a podcast or something?
Jesus.
Right now?
That was 23 minutes ago.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, no. I don't want to see Donald Trump Jr., I'll tell you that much. Damn, we got to get out there and see what's going to happen. Yeah. We're going to get crazy out over here now.
So, guys, don't listen to Hillary Clinton's podcast, because it's.
How can we miss you if you don't go away?
She never goes away.
She's terrible. I mean, that's what everybody's doing. They're starting their own podcast. Hillary Clinton starting her own podcast.
Yeah, what? Get out of our shit, Hillary.
Well,
like,
that's what they're doing. They're using big time financial dollars to compete in an area where we're being defunded, demonetized, so we can't even breathe. But yet, millions of dollars, they get to say what they want. Once again, civil liberties. Protect them. Johnny, this is in Louisville, huh?
Jesus Christ. And they're 2 hours ahead? 2?
3, I think.
3.
Two, might be 2. All right, we're bringing helmets today. Press helmets out today, ladies and gentlemen. Press helmets out.
Let's follow them from the back.
Which you better believe they're going to try to start fucking censoring our press voices and stuff. They don't want you to see what they're doing because they're going to overreach now. They're going to act out.
Yeah.
They're going to use this as an excuse to fire to shoot their projectiles. And they're going to use this as an excuse. But guess what? Too bad. Americans' First Amendment right, freedom of speech. It's within our civil liberties. We are allowed to protest peacefully. And if you go out there and start attacking people who are peacefully protesting because some other agitator did something, you're out of line and you should be held accountable. Go after the person who throws the water bottle. It's always like one person does stuff and they unload on everybody else.
And really, do you have to unload weapons of war on a person who throws a water bottle? Why don't you just go grab them and put them aside or something? Like, I'm not even advocating for that because it's like, why are these people protesting? Wouldn't it be better to just be entirely peaceful to them? Just be entirely peaceful and say, just be there. If you have to be there, if it's your job to be there, just be there instead of acting like you're G.I. Joe. Because that's what they do. They're acting like they're fucking G.I. Joe. They're bringing the imperialism to these very streets in America.
And excessive force, there's no excuse for that. I always say, you're the writers, you got to stop that. What about the excessive force used on some of these people that have been killed in the streets? Attorneys say independent autopsy shows Dejan Kizzy was shot 15 times. What? I mean, there is no reason, there is no excuse that can amount to 5 times, let alone 15.
Yep. Where's
your argument?
15 times for a bike code violation, and then later they supposedly when they shot him, he dropped a weapon. So
where's the pro police people? Where's the excuse now? I want to hear it 15 freaking times.
So
cops have shitty aim. Everyone knows that.
15
Shut up,
gunshot
Deep Space.
wounds, and disputed the sheriff's department assertion that he pointed a gun at deputies before he was shot in South LA last month. And this is this happened really close. These are the protests now that Jonny has been covering a lot of, and I've been to a couple of them. But these are the protests where the sheriff have unleashed extreme weapons against the protesters within minutes of them getting there. Them doing absolutely nothing, and then have confiscated their water bottles and their food, just stupid things like that.
No, taking away their water and shit, that's just freaking deep, dark, stupid shit. Whatnot. So you're saying that, God forbid somebody gets gas, you're going to take away water to put on their faces? Fam, when we were in that goddamn van and they came in, we were throwing, me and Fia were like, we got to get out of here. It was the harsh gas. We were throwing sparkling water all over our face. It's disgusting. You're going to take away water from people? The first time we were gassed on that Sunday night, I was like, I can't see, and I was cursing. Somebody came up with a bunch of water, just poured all over my face. Yep. You're trying to take that away? That means you're already planning on doing some freaking scandalous shit. Kobe Bryant's wife sues the LA Sheriff's Department over a cover-up.
Yeah.
And what's this about?
The LA Sheriff's Department, has been caught going after journalists, protesters, etc. But also now that Vanessa Bryant, who is Kobe Bryant's widow, caught the Sheriff's Department doing some cover-ups.
It wasn't. I was trying to put it up, but it wasn't letting me do that. Or right here, I'll try this again. Jonny, you might have to read this because it keeps.
Oh, we got it.
Oh, see, it keeps doing it. I can't get rid of that. I keep hitting this one. Here, let me try this. I'll try it one more time. See, it won't enable ad block. That won't let me. Son of a bitch. Let me try that.
Jonny. No.
I'm just trying
article,
the subscription
Bryant,
thing.
I just wanted to.
Yeah. I can't. It won't let me take this thing up, even though I pause the ads and stuff.
Yeah, if you can just put it.
Vanessa Bryant has sued the Los Angeles Sheriff's Police Department over deputies sharing unauthorized photo of the scene of the helicopter crash that killed her husband, Kobe Bryant, and their daughter and 7 others. Shortly after the January 27th crash, Vanessa Bryant alleges Sheriff Alex Villanueva personally assured her that his deputies were securing the crash to ensure her privacy. Her suit comes after Los Angeles Times investigation revealed that deputies had taken and shared photos of the crash scene. Villanueva is doing a hell of a job, fam. What do you think? Glory Jones, Villanueva re-election. What do you think? I know. If she watches it back, maybe she can comment on that. But There you go.
Yeah, and I really wanted to go over this real quick because Kshama Sawant is doing amazing work. Can I just say this woman? Yes. She goes after the Democrats hardcore. So this judge ruled that a recall effort against her, Seattle City Councilwoman Kshama Sawant, can proceed because they're trying to get rid of her. Basically, they said that she violated all of these things. There was a couple of things that the judge found her, the 4 complaints valid. And they said that Sawant violated city and state laws by misusing city resources and her official authority when she opened Seattle City Hall in June to protesters who staged a late-night demonstration inside the building. She also participated in a march to Mayor Jenny Durkan's house last month, causing a breach that could have compromised the mayor's personal safety. Oh. Because of Durkan's previous work as a federal attorney, her home address is not widely known for security reasons. 3, Sawant delegated hiring and firing decisions of her office staff to her outside political groups identified as the National Executive Committee and Seattle Executive Committee of the Socialist Alternative. And 4, Sawant misused city resources in promoting a ballot initiative earlier this year regarding passage of a new tax on some of the city's largest employers. So, the judge, they're basically, as if you read this and you understand the situation, they're basically trying to get rid of her for pretty much doing what every politician should be doing, is using the people and her supporters to really push for change. Because previously she got the fight for 15 in Seattle. That was the first area that got $15 an hour thanks to the work of what she did. But she does what the squad should be doing. They use people to build protests, to build movements, to push the politics, and she's gotten a lot of that done. But in spite of the judge saying that the complaints against her can proceed and they're going to have to gather thousands of signatures to make this happen, despite all of that, and like I said, they did this too because she threat to the establishment. Remember, she's not a Democrat, and she was able to override Jenny Durkan's veto of a bill to reduce police budget because they had fought for defunding the police. This is what the protesters in Seattle were doing. They had their 5 demands, etc. And the mayor, Jenny Durkan, was trying to override that with something that was defunding the police a little bit, and she wasn't happy about this. So after a sometimes contentious 3+ hour meeting Tuesday, the Seattle City Council overrode Mayor Jenny Durkan's veto of a bill to slightly reduce the police department's 2020 budget. The 7 yes votes were enough to override council members Alex Peterson's and Deborah Horace's votes of no. The vote does not mean the cuts, which amounted to about 1% of the department's $400 million annual budget, will take effect. The council, as a legislative branch of city government, can pass legislation and budgets, but we cannot force the mayor to spend or not spend as we have directed. Okay, so basically they didn't. She vetoed the minimal defunding the police because she wants to pass a bigger cut of the Seattle in the Seattle City Council.
$400 measly million is it? That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah. The only reason Democratic politicians were defeated today was because of the absolute ferociousness,
yes,
fight back from the movement, not because of the largesse. What do you say? Is that supposed to be largest of the Dems?
Largesse.
Of the Dems. What good words, Kshama. Let's remember that we head Kshama. Let's remember that as we head into a continued fight to defund the police by at least 50% and to cancel rent. I mean, she's on the right side, so they're canceling the rent.
She wants to cancel rent. She wants to defund the police by 50%. So she's really not taking any. This is an example, and an example of what Democrats should be. This is what Democrats should be. This is what they're not, though, because the Democrats hate her. They're trying to get rid of her. Jenny Durkan is a Democratic mayor. She's a Democratic mayor who worked with the intelligence. She worked as a federal prosecutor, but before that, she had some work in the foreign policy sector that nobody can ask questions about with the FBI.
You know who really annoys me sometimes at this points like that, and I'm sorry if you're a friend of mine who is one of those people out there or people back east, is those Trumpers who say, oh, we can't defund the police, we got to support the policemen when like that. You don't say dick when they keep defunding teachers and nurses and whatnot. And teachers and nurses have to deal with getting defunded all the time and still have to do their job. So whether we like it or not, if the police department gets defunded, they still got to do their job.
It doesn't mean you're not paying people. It just basically means that you're going to have social workers come in. You're going to have psychiatrists and psychologists come in. You're going to have other people who are equipped to deal with mentally ill people, because people keep getting shot for being mentally ill or killed for being mentally ill because you're putting police that aren't equipped to handle that in charge.
Yeah.
And
they keep shooting people who are mentally ill. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And also, you don't need heavily militarized police. So all of that money that's getting funded to militarize the police shouldn't go there. You want to talk about the military? Whew. The military is the arm that is supporting the police.
Johnny, I put one last article in there real quick because it was breaking news. Just some news came out. It's on the bottom part of the folder, and it says plain and simple: breaking. Senate Finance and Homeland Security Committees released devastating report on Hunter Biden, Burisma, corruption. The crooked Biden family enriched themselves, and Obama knew.
Now, this is the Gateway Pundit, which is a right-wing news
source. But this is something we've been talking about for a long time.
Yeah, we've been talking about it.
I understand the Gateway Pundit is the Gateway Pundit, baby, but we've been talking about this for a long time. Not only that, Joe Biden admitted that he got the prosecutor. Would you know the prosecutor was fired? And we got somebody who was reputable, who wouldn't prosecute my son.
Joe Biden saying that.
Dude, and we talked about this in Obama. Obama gave Biden the go-ahead. He said, you handle Ukraine. Remember, Victoria Nuland, who made the phone call to Biden? Biden gave thumbs up on the regime change. A bloody regime change on the Maidan, where they supported neo-Nazis to the nth degree to go over and overturn the government. Here it is.
I see you with the microphone.
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Vice
Hey,
President.
Margaret, good to see you.
My question is, should we actually be going on offense in the information war, in the cyber war, in terms of delegitimizing, not just exposing the corruption, but really playing offense the way they're playing offense?
The answer is yes, but not necessarily in the cyberspace where we go in, and most of what happens in the cyberspace is altering information or preventing information from being able to come forward. I think we should be on the offensive in making it clear exactly what we know Russia and/or Putin in particular is doing. And I think we should be working much more closely with our European and allies around the world and exposing and getting them to stand up and acknowledge with us that this is what's happening here. That message gets through. I mean, to go back, when I got here, the last vestige of that Cold War was Radio Free Europe and Radio Limit. It was an attempt to broadcast the truth into Russia. And I think somehow we have to have
It said Joe Biden made the remarks during a meeting on a foreign policy specialist. That same meeting right there. Biden said he threatened Ukrainian President Petro Porkchop Poroshenko in a March 2016 that the Obama administration will pull $1 million U.S. loan guarantee, sending former Soviet Republican towards insolvency. It didn't immediately fire the prosecutor General Viktor Shokin. Biden suggested his talk that Barack Obama was on the threat. In other words, what he said is, if you don't fire this prosecutor who's looking into my son's shady deals, Viktor Shokin, you're not getting the $1 billion loan.
Right.
Then in a phone call tapped in, he says, I heard that Shokin was fired. I'm a man of my word. You'll get the $1 billion. Well, they didn't count on Hillary Clinton not seizing the presidency and and being able to continually protect them. That's why that whole impeachment was disgusting, because all the Democrats, there were people carpetbagging in there, including Hunter Biden, who made billions of dollars in Burisma, with Burisma. Nancy Pelosi's son, Paul Pelosi, got a contract. Adam Schiff and John Kerry were carpetbagging. All these people made money on a regime change they supported. So for them to turn around and try to impeach Donald Trump on a Ukrainian phone call.
They just look like a bunch of hypocrites, especially when they were spewing the Russiagate, and they're still trying to bring back the Russiagate conspiracy.
And
fear-mongering and all these other things. This is all just a bunch of fear-mongering from the two-party system on both ends. The right fear-mongers about the socialists, communists, Biden-Harris, which is completely laughable. And then the Democrats fearmonger about, Donald Trump and how he's this Nazi, and and Donald Trump is, but the fascists are also the Democrats. They're both fascists. This is why we got to get rid of the whole system. That is all I'm advocating for. Get rid of the whole system. I'm not advocating for Trump. And people should stop automatically reacting, saying you're advocating for Trump just when we're criticizing the Democratic Party. I know who my enemies are. I know the Republicans are my enemies, but the Democrats pretend to be your friend. And that's why we talk about the Democrats a lot, because the Democrats are the ones impeding the progressives from getting any power in the Democratic Party or outside of it by cheating and pushing out the green people off the ballot. So.
Yeah,